Houses were shaking like leaves. A cliff collapsed into the water. The people were running on the streets in fear. Another magnitude 4.6, one of Campi Flegrei's supervolcano's strongest ever recorded earthquakes. What is going on? 4.6 at an unusual location, at an unusual depth, together with the March 4.6, the strongest since the last eruption at Campi Flegrei. We will hear interviews of the leading scientists, and what they have to say is alarming. For example, it's a mistake to talk about normality. This system, we do not fully understand it. The phenomenon is unpredictable and growing. We don't know how it might evolve. We could see way stronger earthquakes. The volcano's getting ready. The system is accelerating. It's increasing. Enormous gas flow. We need to be more honest with the population and tell them that we do not fully understand this. In this video, guys, stay with me. It's new information after new information, and it is concerning. Scary day in Italy, guys. At Campi Flegrei, we have another 4.6 magnitude earthquake. That is massive for a supervolcano. Campi Flegrei, near Naples, near more than 6 million people. And the location of this earthquake, that is concerning in a way because it is not at the usual spot. So what does that mean for the volcano? We will get into this. The day started basically with the 4.6, then you see here on the list, followed by another 2.2, 1.6, 1.0, 1.3, 1.1, and ongoing. These are only the earthquakes above magnitude 1 that I'm showing you here. There's way more earthquakes. This is a large earthquake swarm that we're seeing here. And if you look at the epicenter, it's off the coast of Bacoli in the water. The earthquake happened at 12:47 p.m. within the Campi Flegrei caldera. This is still within the caldera. You see the map here with the boundaries. So this is not outside. It's not at the Solfatara where the fumaroles are, where we usually see all these earthquakes. So off the coast of Bacoli, and there was a landslide. We'll get into this as well. And the depth was 4.9 kilometers, and it was clearly felt in a wide area between Procida and Naples, with some reports even coming from the Domitian coast. So this is, it's hard to say, it's the second most energetic event that occurs within the caldera in modern times. It's not the second because it has the same magnitude like the magnitude 4.6 quake that just hit in March 13th this year. So it's not long ago. So these two are the highest ones since basically the Monte Nuovo eruption, and it's controversial. Some INGV scientists have a swollen neck when they hear some of the press headlines. We'll get into this as well. So today's event, the 4.6, has slightly different characteristics compared to the most recent earthquakes in the area. It happened at a greater depth and in a more western zone than usual. So no previous event that had magnitude 4 or higher, and we've unfortunately had quite a few of those in the last 2 years, has ever been recorded this far west and this deep. So typically most of the seismic activity at the Campi Flegrei supervolcano is concentrated between Bagnoli and Pozzuoli, where the hydrothermal system plays a key role in the migration of gas towards the surface and fluids rising up from deep underground. But also this area is the area with the maximum uplift, with the maximum land rise, the Brady seism that's taking place there in the caldera. But in contrast, the western part sees less uplift, which makes strong earthquakes rarer, though still possible. But as the land's not rising that much, there's not so much tension in the crust. Before today, the last significant quake in this area was on July 26, 2024. That was a magnitude 4 event. And what about the depth? Earthquakes that occur in the Gulf of Pozzuoli and along the coast between Miseno and Monte Nuovo, they tend to have deeper hypocenters because they're also tied to major tectonic structures, fault lines that accommodate the deformation differences between the central eastern and western parts of the caldera. So this is quite a complex structure, this caldera. You can see it here in the graphic behind me. You can see the caldera ring, and then you can see these substructures that are there. So should we be worried? I have an interesting interview with Mastro Lorenzo, but also with Giuseppe Di Natale, both seasoned leading scientists of the INGV. They're observing this thing every day. So again, not good news. Should we be worried? As always, we can't know if more strong earthquakes will follow or if a phreatic eruption that scientists, including the official version of the INGV, are now expecting. And again, at the Monte Nuovo eruption that has formed this Monte Nuovo new mountain, that crater, we first had a phreatic eruption that was basically building the tunnel, building the pipe for the magma to come, and a magmatic eruption followed. So we can't know when the larger earthquakes will occur, but while everything's still rising, while this bradyseism is going on, they most likely will. And there will be more earthquakes. But of course, how long is this phase of unrest going on, and how strong will it get? It's hard to tell. For now, the uplift rates remains at 1.5 centimeters a month, the same as in recent weeks. So it's gradually going up. It's continuing. I have reported about Giuseppe Mastro Lorenzo quite a lot in the recent 2 years because he continues to give dire warnings, says, get your evacuation plans ready. You have to redo them. We have to also think about the worst case scenario, an eruption. He said it, and he said not enough is being done. So he gave an interview today after this magnitude 4.6 quake. He's a senior researcher at the Vesuvius Observatory that belongs to the INGV. He's a volcanologist, and he says, together with the magnitude 4.6 last March, this 4.6 magnitude quake is the strongest we ever had. And the Gulf of Baia area is generally not affected by the strongest shocks. This changes a long-held belief that the strongest magnitudes would be localized around Pozzuoli or at most as far as Agnano. That's what he said. What does that mean? Well, they're all worrying about the seismic upgrade of the buildings in Pozzuoli, that they might collapse if there is a magnitude 5. Starting magnitude 5, more buildings will collapse. They have already collapsed when we had the last 4.6. A ceiling collapsed, buildings, structures. So he says, and really listen carefully what he says. He's trying not to be alarming, but what he says should tell us more than he says, if you understand what I mean. He says, it is a mistake to talk about normality. We need to acknowledge the unpredictability of this system, which we do not fully understand. And here lies the danger. They still do not fully understand. But if you follow my channel, you've seen all the new studies that came out. I have reported about them. And study after study, the news doesn't get better, it gets worse. The studies confirm the instability of the system, the progression of the system towards an eruption, and that there's so many weak parts that could let the magma through. He further says, listen to this, guys. The quake disproves the idea that the maximum magnitudes should only be expected in the narrow area around Pozzuoli. We also need to reassess the illusion that we know exactly where the strongest shocks will occur. This earthquake, occurring offshore from Baia, mostly affected the town of Bacoli, which is normally considered outside the zone of strong shaking. The volcano is always good for a surprise here, guys. And listen to this again, what he says now. He says, quote, "The phenomenon is unpredictable and growing. We often deceive ourselves during seismic pauses into thinking everything has calmed down, but the gas flow is increasing. This is what stresses the crust and causes the uplift. And it's a clear indicator of a massive," he says, "gas release. And the latest studies confirm how brittle and weakened the crust is. The crust that keeps the lid on this supervolcano." What he's saying here is concerning, guys. You have to listen to the words he's using. And he also says, there have been many communication errors and misplaced reassurances, but we need to properly inform the public about the limits of our knowledge. I love that guy because he dares to speak out against his own institution. Because what he's saying is, the public institutions kind of say, we have this under control, we're monitoring this, it's closely monitored. Mastro Lorenzo just said a few weeks ago, closely monitoring doesn't guarantee you safety. You just monitor it until it blows, right? And what basically has been told to the public, we know if something worse should occur because we're closely monitoring it. The Brady seism is normal. This is all good. It's normal that there's earthquakes if the land is rising. Blah, 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 blah. Giuseppe Di Natale said for years, this Brady seism is not normal with this volcano. It only occurs before and after eruptions. Since we didn't have an eruption for a very long time, this is before. This is the before. So the limits of our knowledge, he said, we have to tell the people. As he is the INGV, he's working for the INGV, he's saying we're not telling the truth. He further says, we do not know how this phenomenon might evolve. And my colleagues have wrongly claimed in the past years to understand the Brady seism. This is what I just mentioned, guys. He says this current Brady seism is completely different from the previous ones. The belief that we can control or fully grasp the Brady seism is absolutely mistaken. Wow. He has the balls, guys, to say that. And he's not the only one. Over the last 2 years, I've reported about several leading seasoned scientists. Roberto Di Scandone said before the recent crisis even started, if it was me, I would evacuate. Giuseppe Di Natale, Giuseppe Mastro Lorenzo, and many others. Yes, there's real estate values at risk. There's tourism at risk. But now even the official version of the INGV last week was, we should maybe think about a relocation or an evacuation, but it was very carefully worded. So really, what he says, the belief that we can control or fully grasp Brady seism is absolutely mistaken. This has been ongoing for 20 years, has produced the strongest earthquakes ever recorded in the area, and there are even hypotheses suggesting that stronger ones above magnitude 5 could still happen. The engine of Brady seism is strengthening, he says. Strengthening. Understand, for the ones that are not a regular viewer, you should subscribe, guys. Brady seism is the land rise. the earthquakes that come with it, the increased gas emission, the fumaroles at the Campi Flegrei caldera, temperature increase, everything's rising up. So what he says is, the engine of the Brady seism is strengthening. The engine is a volcano, guys. It's a super volcano. He says it's strengthening because the gas flow, particular carbon dioxide, has doubled in recent years. They had it in the buildings. So all of a sudden they detected it. People were feeling dizzy. And then he says, the earthquakes are just a tiny fraction of the energy that is being released. Then he says, the Brady seism is clearly on the rise. What is he telling us, guys? The volcano's getting ready. Ready for what? It's hard to tell. And what he says about this current earthquake. This earthquake is among the deepest recorded events. And that tells us something. He says, that indicates the entire system is reacting to the enormous gas flow. That's revealed by monitoring. The phenomenon is growing, he says, regardless of the number or magnitude of the earthquakes. It's growing. And then he says, I've never advocated for relocating the population, but we should have modified the emergency plans and be ready at any time, even though the eruption, which will happen, might not come today, might come in millennia, centuries, or unfortunately, soon. We need to be ready with escape routes. And as for the earthquake risk, we need to urgently secure buildings through rapid interventions. So what he's saying is, time is of the essence. Hurry up. The volcano is giving us warning after warning. But he's not the only one that has commented today. Giuseppe Di Natale, he's been frustrated for years because he's been warning about this since 2018 at least. And he's very angry that they're behaving like the Brady seism is normal and nothing to worry about. So he said today, and he also posted it, he said, today at 12:47 p.m. a strong earthquake struck Bacoli with a magnitude of 4.6. Once again, the media is spreading the usual nonsense. He's talking about some headlines that say the strongest earthquake in the last 40 years. And he has a problem with the number 40 years. So he says, no one knows where that number even comes from. In reality, this earthquake, together with the other 4.6 that was recorded on March 13th, it is the strongest ever recorded earthquake at Campi Flegrei, and it's certainly the strongest earthquake to occur here since 1580, making it the most powerful in 445 years. He's talking about the Monte Nuovo eruption, since the Monte Nuovo eruption. And then he continues, he says, fortunately, there's no serious injuries this time either, because back on March 13th, ceiling collapsed on a woman. She was luckily pulled from the rubble. But he says, let's hope our good luck is holding on, because he's doubting that. He's doubting that, guys. When it comes to the location of these earthquakes, look at this map. These are just the recent big ones. And we have the red point here. That's the current magnitude 4.6 at a depth of 3.9 kilometers. And in this area, we did have another one in July 2024, magnitude 4.0. And then we had another 4.4 on May 13th. Here we have another, that was another 4.4. But then look at this here. We have another 4.6 in March 13th. This is the normal area here where we have the Solfatara crater with the fumaroles. Also in this area, we had in 2023 the magnitude 4 earthquake. Then in this area, we had a magnitude 4.4. That was May 20th, 2024. That was when they really started to be scared because people really felt it. They were running on the streets and panic. This earthquake was basically lifting the panic level to another level. So yeah, this is what you see here. And this is basically today's earthquake. This is today's earthquake. This is all the Campi Flegrei caldera. Should there be an eruption in the water, by the way, it will send up to 100 feet tsunami towards the coastline, towards Naples. More than 6 million people in this greater area. I will keep you updated how this earthquake swarm is further developing, guys. Please like and subscribe the video. If you want to support my work, go to my Buy Me a Coffee site. Link is in the description of the video. If you buy me a coffee, leave me a message. I'll answer with a 30-second video message. That's what they allow. You can video back. We can chat with each other. Or become a supporting channel member. Click the join button or the link in the description for private stuff about me and behind the scenes videos. Thank you for your support with the YouTube Supers, guys. Stay safe. I hope I see you soon. Bye-bye.